Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where on our property today in the last 15 minutes we have had heavy rain, and then that turned to graupels, which is a little tiny hail that is very soft, and then to a frozen mix, and it looks like now it has stopped. So we may have any one of those occurring as background noise as we proceed. Today we're going to talk about something that I am finding very exciting, and that is ancient grain breakfast bowls. You know, now that I am retired, I am paying much more attention to breakfast. For more than 2 decades, 5 days a week, I had to leave so early that I usually just drank a protein drink on the way in to work. I very rarely had time for a real breakfast except on Saturdays and Sundays. And then we cooked waffles and oh my goodness, scrambled eggs and bacon and the usual stuff. But I am now getting into ancient grains, or just to more grains, period, because I have purchased all of these ancient grains to do experimenting with. That is what I am using right now. Some of them I am going to keep on our food storage shelves. Others, once I use them all up, I won't rebuy, mainly because the taste is very similar to other grains that I have. What we are finding with comments from our viewers is that most people who are really into ancient grains are doing it because of digestive issues, and I think that is just absolutely fantastic, that you are finding alternative ways to make sure that your own individual needs are met. I'm going to share with you some things that I have done over the past couple of weeks, and I'm finding it so much fun. First of all, I went out to check out on the internet recipes, all kinds of recipes for ancient grains. And there are lots and lots of grain bowl recipes. Some are suitable for breakfast, others for lunch, even dinner, using ancient grains. I'm focusing today on breakfast bowls, and I have 2 foundational recipes. I really like to operate from a foundation that I know what the taste is, and then add in a new flavor so that I can then see what that new flavor is like. As I have mentioned a number of times on our videos, I was pretty much raised on cracked wheat for breakfast every single morning. Hard red winter wheat that had been cracked and then cooked into cereal is what we had, and we had it with sugar and milk. And once in a while, Mother would slice a banana with a few slices on each of our bowls so that we could have a little taste of banana with those breakfast bowls. And so I'm used to eating cracked grain for breakfast. And the taste of the combinations of these is wonderful from my perspective. I'm really enjoying it. Well, I'm building on 2 different foundational recipes. Each of these has 3 foundational ancient grains and then a +1. And that +1 I can pick from any of these that I have out here. Now in the little jars I have cracked the wheat family. And so this is einkorn, this is frika, spelt, kamut, and oats. And then in the back I have additional ancient grains that we've talked about in a previous video: sorghum, teff, millet, and buckwheat. And so I'm using combinations of these. I crack the wheat family. Oh, and one of those is oats. Yes, this is oats right here. And so I crack all of the hard grains so that they will cook faster. And the reason that I have those in such small jars is that I don't like to do it way ahead of time. I like to do it almost the day that I am going to be cooking. So let me just give you these quick recipes, and I'm not going to write them down. You can write them down if you want. They're very, very easy. So it's 1/3 cup each of, for this one, quinoa, oats, amaranth, with a tablespoon of flaxseed. No, this is about 1/4 cup of flaxseed put in the mix, and then a +1. And for this +1, I used sorghum. And oh my gosh, is it ever good? Then for this one, the basic 3 are quinoa, buckwheat, millet, with a tablespoon of flaxseed, and then a +1. And for the +1 here, I used kamut. I hope I'm saying that right. It's the one that is 3 times the size of a regular wheat grain. And if you are going to use the whole grains, some people call them berries, which I don't like, but if you're going to cook with the whole grain, you need to soak it overnight, otherwise it won't cook in the usual 20 or 25 minutes that the cracked wheat does. And so I crack the grains to use in these recipes. And then I just add the appropriate amount of water, which is about twice the amount of the volume of the grains. And then I cook that, and that's the basis. Well, what can you use with these foundational recipes? Now, notice that I have quite a bit. Jim often does not want breakfast, and he's not real fond of cooked cereal. And so mostly I'm doing this for me, although once in a while he will join me. But this gives me options, lots and lots of options, and I don't have to cook every morning. And so I will just come into these refrigerator dishes and spoon out what I want into a bowl and then add the toppings. So what are the appropriate toppings? Well, let's experiment a little bit, and I'll show you some of the things that I use. So I can just eat it plain, which I have done for years and years and years. And so if I were going to eat it plain, I would choose this one, which is the oats, and it's cracked oats, amaranth, flaxseed, and then my +1 with sorghum. And this is still warm. And so, because I just finished cooking it a little while ago. And so with this, I could just eat it plain. And I would eat it plain either with or without milk and sugar. I can do it either way. If you need a sweetener, then by all means add a sweetener. The other way that it would be just great is with a few slices of banana, milk, and brown sugar. And I use about a half a banana when I do that, but I keep this half a banana close by just in case I need more slices. But this is about what I will start with, and then if I need more, I'll slice it into it. And if I don't use the whole banana, I'll offer it to Jim, and if he doesn't want it, then I will eat it, so it will never go to waste. So that is what I would do, 2 different ways with whatever combination of grains that I would be using. So for the next 2, we will use the quinoa buckwheat millet base, and this one, let me rinse this spoon. And then for this base recipe, I used the kamut, which is a wheat. And so I'm just going to put 2 helpings in these 2 bowls. And you can be so creative. If you have young children or teenagers, if you have children, you may find that they don't adjust away from their Wheaties and sugar corn pops to whole grain cereals. And so you can do things like, for instance, for a sweetener, you could add mini marshmallows and let them do it that way. And these would all be served hot. But for me, I don't need any lead-in time. I can go straight to the hardcore grain bowls and be just fine. So you can either do it sweet or savory. I was really intrigued with some of the savory recipes that are out there because I had not really thought about doing a savory type grain bowl. My brain just jumps back to my childhood, which was sugar and milk. But these savory grain bowls are really very interesting. For instance, the one that I'm going to show you today uses bok choy. And this is bok choy, which is available in most grocery stores. And then I used also, along with the bok choy, some crimini mushrooms. These are the little brown topped mushrooms. And I did a little quick stir fry with those. And I stir fried them in a little bit of olive oil. And then to increase the savory taste, I used some tamari sauce, which is a type of soy sauce. And oh my goodness, did they ever turn out great. So I'm just going to move this one closer. Here are the stir-fried mushrooms and bok choy. And I'm going to just put those around the edge. And then I'm going to garnish that with some alfalfa sprouts tucked in. And that is served warm with the sprouts being cold. And so this is, I can't tell you how much I liked that breakfast. It was such a different taste for me having savory grain bowls instead of the hot with milk and sugar. And I could add milk to any of these if I wanted to, but this one I would eat just plain. And so this is what this one looks like. And then, of course, another one of my favorites would be to decorate, as my dad would say, to decorate the cereal with raspberries and blueberries. Red and blue. And then with this one, again, milk and sugar would be optional, and I would go with that option if I were to eat that, because I love grain bowls with the hot grain and then the cold fruit with milk and sugar. Brown sugar or honey or regular sugar, whatever you would like. Now, the downside of these is that while the protein might be high, so are the carbs. And so you need to be sure that you're watching the ingredient lists on all of these so that you don't overdo on the carbs as well. And this is one meal a day. And I do not do this every single morning. I alternate with other breakfasts that I am also exploring. Now, the other thing that could be added to any of these would be a nice slice of whole grain bread. I'm working on this recipe. I'm not ready to share it yet. It's not turning out yet exactly the way I want it to be for when I announce the recipe on this. But we will be doing at least one video, maybe more, on how to make breads using these whole grains ground into flour. So this is the basis for where I am so far with these ancient grain breakfast bowls, hot cereal for a wonderful start to your morning. So be inventive, be creative. Look in your refrigerator and see what else you have there that might go. Nuts would go with these as well. You can add so many different things to these basic grain bowls. So you have a wonderful, nutritious foundation, and then you add other things that add to the nutrition. So I hope this is useful for you. I hope that you will try some of these and then share what you do for breakfast grain bowls as well in the comments so that we can have a lot of discussion, a lot of sharing of ideas for these ancient grain breakfast bowls. We had two of our viewers say when I mentioned in an earlier video last week that with my time now that I have available as a retiree, that I'm going to go back through some of our old videos and deep six them and make new versions of them. And they have said to me, please don't deep six those videos. The comments below them are so valuable. And I realized that they were both absolutely right. So we will not be deep sixing the videos. We will leave them up so that you can look at the comments. But know that we will be upgrading some of our older ones with more recent information that makes them even more valuable. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our community. And we hope that your days and weeks are going well for those of you, especially that are in the aftermath of the terrific storms that have hit the Midwest and the East Coast. So thanks so much, and we'll see you at our next video.